So, ladies, customer-centric. Well, that's often a word that we perhaps hear, but I'd be curious about how we define that when it comes to leadership, and also why it's so important in this day and age, putting the customer first. Laura, I'll begin with you.
Well, thank you so much for the warm welcome. It's a delight to be here with such talented female leaders. I would say to you that it is so important at Kohler to put the customer in the center of what we do, that we actually have the leading cultural belief is delight the customer at Kohler. And that really means we challenge ourselves to delight the customer from their very first experience, whether it's an online experience, a showroom experience, the delivery of the product, the choosing of the product, to when they open the box and they use the product. So it's so important that we really take into account their needs, their desires, their pain points, and we listen and we react to feedback. So it's an ongoing cycle of being very attentive to all the markets that we're in and adjusting and continuing to adapt and being very fluid in how we think about meeting the needs of the customer.
So it sounds really as though Kohler believes that customer is king, but why? Why do you put in so much effort? Why is it so important? I mean, it's great for a client, but why for the business as well?
Well, today customers have so many choices, and we have to distinguish ourselves by really being attentive. You know, you mentioned empathy in the intro, walking in the shoes of our customer, understanding what they need to actually live a gracious life, to better their lives. Our mission is really to enhance the lives of those who touch our products and services, helping our customers live a more sustainable, gracious, and healthy life. So we really want to do that at all the touch points.
All right, Sakina, I'll bring you in now. Why is customer-centric leadership so important when it comes to the business landscape, from your perspective?
So I would say that in our context, which is the provision of real estate developments, it's a very long-term asset, and therefore you have to think about not only what is relevant now, but what's going to be relevant in 50 years. And the thing that's important to us with that is a very data-driven development process. And so what we're doing is collecting information on how suburbs are evolving, how they're changing, what they will be like in 5 to 10 years, what that means for the kind of provision of real estate that's required. We think about how will customer needs change from now to 15 or 20 years from now. And I think it's very important to, within that process, to make sure that you're creating real estate that is flexible and can change based on changing consumer needs.
Because I'm sure consumer needs are changing all the time.
Yes, and especially with especially the trends and the social dynamics are changing. We know that in the last 10 years we've seen a lot more screen time, we've seen a lot more isolation in communities, and how does real estate now come in to change that dynamic, and how do we provide spaces that change how we relate to each other, or reduce the amount of screen time that you know the youth are having, for example. So a lot of data-driven or understanding or collecting data on what is happening, not only economic but also social, makes real estate development a lot more relevant from now to 50 years from now.
Right, okay, thank you. And Florence, I'll put the same question to you. You know, President of the Kenya Architectural Society, what does customer-centric mean to you and the organization? And again, why is it critical?
Thank you so much for that. For us, we're a membership organization, and it's very important that we put our members first. We actually exist so that we are able to put together the issues that our members are facing in the industry and advocate for them. So in terms of leadership, it's very important for us to know what it is that our members want and how we can advocate for them moving forward. I think what's also very important is that, as fellow panelists have said, is that a lot of our customers today, they know a lot of things. They're, at the touch of a button, they're able to understand quite a number of issues. So we also need to be on top of our game in terms of how we serve them. And at AAK, what we've done is that our advocacy is actually membership driven. We actually ask them what it is they want and how we can advocate for them better. So we carry out a lot of surveys over and above the information that we have, and we make sure that we are constantly communicating with them and keeping them in the loop on what is happening in the industry, and making sure that we are in spaces where we can actually advocate on their behalf. And that's why it's very important that our leadership at this particular juncture in time and in the industry is customer driven. It's driven by our members, and it's driven by what they want and what they want to see happening in the industry. Considering that AK is the leading organization in terms of advocacy for the built environment, we need to also understand what do professionals want and how do they want the industry to be guided, so that we are able to actually respond to the needs that they have.